In the video?
Yeah. Who has been to SeaWorld and watched the trainers interact with the orcas? Could you ever think that a sweet animal could turn on you? Orcas are beautiful animals that mind their own business, and people like us are taking them from the wild, separating their pods, and placing them in harsh conditions and paying for it later. What you will learn is that What you will learn from the speech is that Sealand and SeaWorld have made mistakes that are now becoming life-threatening. The way the orcas live in Sealand and SeaWorld are much worse than them living in the wild. This essay is going to follow a certain orca named Tilikum. Tilikum started out in Sealand. Sealand was a netted area out in a lake with one pool for the orcas and one module for the orcas to stay in at night. The 3 orcas that were kept here were between 16 to 18 feet long. The modules they were kept in were 20 feet wide and 30 feet deep. Tilikum was constantly bullied by the other orcas, causing him to have some frustration that later would be identified. It was during a show. The trainer slipped into the pool and was pulling herself out when Tilikum came from underneath her, grabbed her by the foot, and pulled her to the bottom of the pool. Her name was Kelty Byrne. She was a champion swimmer and had competed at the international level. Later, it was reported that it was an accident that she drowned, but there were multiple witnesses that watched her get pulled under by Tilikum. Soon after the incident, Sealand shut down and Tilikum was transported to SeaWorld to become a male breeder. He was welcomed with teeth scraping all over his body by the girl orcas and spending most of his time in the corner or in the back pool. He impregnated 2 orcas, and soon after they were born, they were taken away to another park. The mothers were in grief. They had what they called vocals, which was screaming out high pitch for their babies. All of this was wrong. They even told the public that the orcas were indeed swimming with their pods. The workers were constantly stretching the truth by telling everyone the wrong facts to make SeaWorld look the best. They explained how the orcas living there were much healthier and that they will live longer than the orcas in the wild. Tilikum, by this point, was so angry at his conditions that he took it out on 2 or 3 more people in SeaWorld. One of them was a trainer named Dawn Brencho. She didn't reward him during the show because he didn't do what she had asked. He thought he believed he did perfectly, and when he didn't get rewarded, he got really agitated. Dawn went to lay on the ledge when Tilikum grabbed her and pulled her to the bottom of the pool to drown her. Supervisors of SeaWorld blamed the death on Dawn because they believed he grabbed her ponytail, and they said that she shouldn't have had the ponytail in the first place. Tilikum was then punished by not performing in shows and was taken out of SeaWorld. If humans were to leave orcas in their natural habitat, then we wouldn't be having these issues. Orcas are self-driven animals and never intend to hurt anyone. It is on record that an orca has never intentionally hurt a human in the wild. It is because they have millions of places to swim and they live in their pods. Maybe keeping the whales together would have made a huge difference. If the orcas would have stayed in the wild, we wouldn't have had to worry about the collapsed dorsal fins. It occurs when the whale is kept in captivity or has nowhere really to swim. Orcas are found to live between 60 to 100 years in the wild, and at SeaWorld they are said to live until their mid-30s. Even though the wild might seem much scarier, it is much safer for the life of the orcas and for the life of the orca trainers. SeaWorld and Sealand had made mistakes that was life-threatening, and SeaWorld probably still is. The way the orcas live in Sealand and are living in SeaWorld are much worse than them living in the wild. Yes, SeaWorld is fun to go to, and I'm sure Sealand was also, but the way the orcas are acting out is reflective of the care they're given and the living conditions. You don't see this kind of aggression in the wild. So who's going to go see the orcas knowing what could happen when you were there?
When you look into their eyes, you know somebody is home.
They're an animal that possesses great spiritual power, not to be meddled with.
SO to respond for a jet purpose at SeaWorld. A whale is one of the trainers.
Tilikum was the one that went after her. Dawn is the senior trainer here at Chandler Stadium.
She captured what it means to be a SeaWorld trainer, and it made me realize what happened to her really could have happened to anyone.
I've been expecting somebody to be killed by a Tilikum.
We weren't told much about it, other than it was trainer error.
It didn't just happen. It's not a singular event. You have to go back to understand this.
Those people heard the man, and they could just